So today we're gonna be making, it's kind of like a jalapeno creamy-ish sauce that you can put on tacos or burritos, really anything. It's really kind of multi-use. You can use it on a ton of different style of foods. It's just a great sauce that you can kind of keep inside of the fridge when you need it. Now, to make it, I'm gonna put a little B-roll footage here so you can see what it looks like. You just need a few ingredients. You need a neutral oil. So today we'll be using canola oil, vegetable oil would be fine, peanut oil would be okay, but you don't want really any taste in there, so don't use an olive oil, for example, unless you want that extra little taste. You need some jalapenos. I'm using 5 today because that's what came in the pack. You could throw in some habaneros, some red chilies, or just totally use those other ones, but you will need some sort of pepper. You need some garlic, at least 1 full clove. You could go a little less. I like my garlic. We're gonna be doing a full clove. And 1 full yellow or white onion. I like to use yellow onion. You can also throw in green onion. That's optional as well if you want a little bit extra taste in there. And then just a few avocados. 1 avocado will do. 2 will just add a little extra creaminess. Now, optional is cilantro. I know like half the population hates it, so we don't have to mess with that. And then the only other thing I don't have is lime juice. My grocery store was out. So I love to squeeze at least 1 fresh lime in there, and it just adds a lot of great flavoring, or you can use the bottles that come with it. So let's go ahead and get into step 1. So first thing is straightforward. We just want to prep a few of our vegetables here. So just cut the tops off of the jalapenos, and this is just going to take that stem off before we get into and then the other option is to obviously de-seed them. To do that, it's pretty straightforward. You just want to take it, right? We're going to cut that lengthwise, and you can just use a spoon to take out the seeds. Now I'm going to de-seed probably 2 to 3 of them, and you can put the seeds aside as well. So if you decide you want to incorporate them after, you can do that. It'll also be a little bit smoother if you take out the seeds. So you don't want it to be too hot. I would definitely suggest at the very least de-seeding them and potentially adding the seeds after based on the taste. Okay, so I have my jalapenos all de-seeded. I did leave 1 and like a half there, and I put them on the side again. So if I want to add some extra spice, I'll just add in the seeds, but I want this to be a little more tame. I do like spicy, but I don't want you guys to, die biting into it. So now you just want to take off your onion peel. Doing a bit of a bad job here. Boom, wasted a little bit of onion, but that's okay. So you just want your onion peeled. And what we're going to do now that we have our vegetables done, now you would also do this with your green onions if you want as well. We're basically going to roast them a little bit to give them a little bit of char and a little bit of flavor, and then also soften them up. So just grab, I like to use non-stick for this. You can add a tiny bit of oil if you want. For your onion, I suggest just chopping it. I just chop it up into 4s like this, and that helps just roast a little bit more surface area. We're gonna turn it up to pretty high heat. So we're gonna go to around 8, so medium high on your stovetop. Let it heat up, and then just put the jalapenos face down. We'll give it 1 second. Okay, so it feels a little bit hotter, so we're gonna start to put in our peppers. You can hear we got a little bit of sizzle there, and start roasting the front end. Now, the reason why I like to take the seeds out before I roast them is because you can roast both sides and roast a little bit more surface area successfully. Some people roast them whole, and that's perfectly fine too, but this is how I like to do it. So let's throw those in. Boom, right there. And we're just gonna let those roast for a few minutes. As your pan starts to heat up, you'll have to watch it. Getting a little bit of char is perfectly fine. If you have a big enough pan, you can also throw in your onion, but it might be a little hard to not overcrowd it right now. So while those are roasting, you want to take your garlic head, and we want to start peeling our garlic. Now, I'm going to say you want around at least half the whole garlic head. I'm going to do pretty much a full one. This is a little smaller of a garlic head, so it really depends on your level of garlic and what you enjoy. Now, the worst part of peeling garlic is trying to get it de-shelled. There's two ways to do this. I either like to do a little twist right here, and it's okay if you break it up a little bit, and then it kind of just pops out like that, as you can see. Or the other way is to just take your knife over top, boom, down. That loosens up that outside, and now you can usually just peel it completely whole like that. Now we are going to cut off the ends too, but let's just go ahead and get the rest of this garlic peeled. I'm going to do 7 garlic cloves. That looks, let's do one more, 8. And then we're going to put the rest on the side and just clean up our cutting board and kind of start slicing them up. All right, now we're going to chop up our garlic. You just want it in little slices. You can kind of cut it diagonal like this, if everybody can see. And it doesn't have to be too thick, too thin, just rough slices like that. Cut up all of them, and then we will be good to go for the next step. After our vegetables are charring, now if we look back, they already got some char on one side. I gave it a little flip, but we're just going to keep letting it go while we take care of our garlic over on the side. Okay, now we've roasted them for a little bit. I'm going to turn this heat down to around 2 because we need this element to cool down a little bit, or if you have a different one, that works too. They're not quite cooked how I want them yet, softened up. So just put them inside of a bowl like so, and then just stick like a plate or some tin foil over top and let them continue to steam, and that's going to soften them up even more. Now we have to move over to our pot here. You're gonna have a little bit of char on the bottom most likely. You can swap it out or you can leave it. It should be fine. But I would suggest putting it over on the side for a few seconds to let it cool down before we put in our oil. Now, once you have your pan ready, you have it back down to kind of like a medium-low heat. We want to add our neutral oil. So we're using a canola oil. We're gonna make 1.5 cups of garlic infused oil now. I like to make a little bit extra. You're not gonna use all of this. It just adds a really nice taste to dishes. And you can use it later for a bunch of different things. And it really adds some great flavor. So we're gonna go 1.5 cups here. And this is going to be to slowly add into our mixture. And you can probably guess what we're gonna do next. We're gonna add in our garlic. Now you can add it in right away. This is why we want it on a low heat, because we want our garlic to brown, but we don't want it to burn. So brown is good, burn is not so good. Now you're gonna need one more small bowl, because once our garlic browns, we need to actually fish it out. Now you can do this with like a fork, or if you have a very fine sieved spatula of some sort, that also works really well. Now you're gonna start seeing your garlic bubble like this. Just kind of move it around, right? Just make sure it's not sticking to the bottom and that it's floating on top. It should be pretty much completely submerged to the point where both sides are cooking, but you can also flip it to kind of check what the progress is. Now we are looking for a deep golden brown, but you can take them out slightly before, because they will continue to cook a little bit once we fish them out, and they do take a little while to fish out, I find. I just don't have the right tool here. I might try to use my spatula, although this is plastic, so probably not the best idea, but we'll make it work. Okay, now these are starting to look done. You can kind of see them getting a little bit of shade to them. We're gonna leave them in for maybe just another 30 seconds to a minute, as they are gonna start to cook really quick at this point. Okay, we do see some done ones here, so I'm gonna start scooping out the smaller ones. Depending on how sliced or how thinly you slice them, you will cook them faster. Now, a little bit of excess oil is perfectly fine, so you don't have to get these completely drained. We are reserving these for the sauce. And again, this isn't the best tool to do this with. I feel like I'm gonna definitely burn my fingers here. Little garlic fishies here. Now you want to get out as much of this as possible, and then you can also turn off your element at this point. You can see as I'm taking them out, they're getting more and more browned here. This is where a slotted metal spoon would really come in handy, a nice large one. Okay, so I got most of it out. Now we want to take our oil and get it inside of our measuring cup or whatever you have that it's going to fit in. Be super careful with this, guys. I'm just going to pour it in because I trust myself. But you might want to find a better way to do this. Okay. Do not try this at home. Not very smart. Okay, as I spill like half of it. Sweet. Well, listen guys, that might be a good way to start a grease fire. We're gonna clean this up, and this might be cut from the video. Okay, so now that we have that embarrassing mess cleaned up, we're going to cut up one avocado. You want it pretty ripe if you can. Even overripe is fine because this will be blended. And you can also add one more depending on how creamy you want it. This really helps add a nice creamy texture to the kind of salsa, I guess I want to call it. So we're gonna just have it like that, and then you can just scoop it out with a spoon. Super simple. We're gonna let our oil cool just for a little bit, and we're gonna come back and put this sauce together. Okay, so now that our oil is cooled, we're gonna kind of put everything together. Now we wanna take pretty much all of our dry ingredients minus the avocados. We wanna leave those till after, just directly in. You can see all those juices on those habaneros, right, as they kind of sweat there. I'm gonna leave the char on them as well. And now you can add your garlic. So we have our roasted garlic here. Should be a little bit crunchy too. Yeah, pretty good. Tastes good too. This is also great. Yeah, you can kind of add it to really anything, including sauces, spaghetti sauces and stuff like that. Now you could add your cilantro right now and your lime juice. We're gonna have to add some salt as well, but I wait to the end to salt it. So we're gonna put that on. This lid only goes one way, just like that. And we're just gonna blend it up a little bit. Okay, we can see our sauce has really started to come together, and this is really just, all those dry ingredients. Now what we wanna do is slowly stream in our oil. So I suggest putting it on the low setting and then let it spin, and you're gonna slowly stream in your oil. Okay, now our sauce is really coming together. I suggest just taking some salt at this point before we really check it out. Adding some salt inside. I just play it by ear. So something like that. I know that looks like a lot, but it's really not when none of the ingredients have been seasoned yet. And now just blend it one more time. Now my guess is I'm gonna need a little bit more salt than that. Just watch the lid, it's probably gonna be full of sauce. I just wanna see how thick it is. Let's take it out so you can kind of see it there. All right, look at that. Now we're not quite done yet because we still have our avocados. It needs a little bit more salt, and it's still spicy despite only having pretty much one with the seeds in. A nice level of spice too. So it looks like only having half of one with seeds in gives it the perfect amount of heat. I would definitely usually take it a little bit further. Now what we're gonna do is we're gonna add in our avocados like so. Scoop it out. And I'll be showing you this on some tacos as well, what I like to kind of put everything together. Boom. Missed a little bit. And now this is going to help take it to another level. Just add some really nice creamy texture to it. Now we're gonna test it one more time. You might add one more. See, look at how much creamier that is. Look at that. You can see that green color has changed as well. I think that's perfect. So I think one avocado is perfect. Let's try just a little bit more. Perfect. So you can see I used roughly half a cup of oil. I'd say maybe a little bit over 3/4 cup. And again, this will be reserved for just other dishes. It's nice, some nice garlic infused oil. Okay, so now I would just want to take out my kind of green sauce here. I guess it's kind of like a salsa in a way. You could also add some tomatellas in though, those green kind of tomatoes. I think I'm pronouncing that right. If you char those up as well. And that is the finished product right there. Look at that. Now I'm gonna go throw this on some tacos, and you'll have a good chance to really see what it looks like. I'll kind of explain how it adds a great taste to your taco night. Okay, so let's go ahead and make our tacos. I just kind of toast my soft tortilla shells, and then I put some cheese on them and flip them and just kind of crisp the cheese up a little bit. So just a different way to add cheese to your tacos. Now on the bottom, I just like to put a little bit of sour cream. Just put a little bit there. You can spread it out if you want. I just chunk it in the middle with a knife. Boom, boom, and last one. It's also really good if you mix your sour cream with a little bit of lime. And yeah, that turns out really delicious as well. Now let's add in a little bit of rice. I just do some cooked rice. Sometimes I like to do black beans and rice, but I didn't have any black beans, so we're just gonna go with the rice. Adds just a little bit of a different texture in the taco and fills them up a little bit. Now we go in with our cooked chicken. I just cooked some chicken breast, butterfly it, season it, and just cook it with a little bit of oil. I actually use that garlic oil, which gives it a little extra flavor, and you can see how juicy that is. Now after that, we're just gonna hit it with a little bit of red salsa. I just like a little bit of tomato base in there. If you do chopped up tomatoes, that's fine too, but this just gives it a little extra flavoring with that green sauce and kind of cuts it down a little bit. Now we go shredded lettuce. Now we hit it with some green onions, just a little bit over the top. And then we go in with the green sauce. So we just finish it off with a little bit of green sauce on top. And that is it. The beautiful green sauce utilized on top of those kind of chicken tacos, and it just turns out amazing. You can scoop them up. You can use bigger tacos in this, and you can also obviously use hard shell, but just a perfect kind of multi-purpose sauce. You gotta make this.